Panago Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Stuff and things. And this will be the shortest Steve Dangle podcast episode probably in history. I hope you guys are ready to go.
No, not in history.
In history. You know, I don't even know if we're going to make it. I don't even know if we're going to make it out of the radio portion of this.
We are going to make it out of the radio portion.
I'm just reaching into my bag because Steve got sick on my account this weekend.
I got sick from you. We made out all weekend.
Here, have this Dayquil.
I will.
It's good stuff.
How many? 2?
2. Have 2.
Always 2.
We'll fire you up for 8 hours. Good stuff. So, we got a lot to get to, including a really interesting development that involves Shannon Szabados and the fact that, you know, Team Canada's goalie, who does not play in the CWHL.
Double gold goalie.
She plays for, is it the ECHL?
It was the SPHL's Peoria Rivermen.
It was.
And
this is a very interesting development. But first, Jesse, did you happen to see Steve's most recent video?
There's a lot of poop in there.
Oh, yeah. I said poop a lot.
13 minutes, one take.
Yes.
Do you think that he was maybe a little passionate about the particular subject of what went down between the Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks on Saturday night?
I think he cared a little.
A little. Let me tell you how I ran this down. So I had the guys at the cottage this weekend because I was picking it wasn't like there was tryouts. It was just I had my groomsmen up there and surprised them and said, "Hey guys, will you be groomsmen?"
Adam
Whatever.
invited up some of his best friends, broke a bunch of pool cues, and said, "Boys, we're gonna have tryouts."
Whoever survived, Steve survived. So we're watching the game Saturday night. We get into the last 3 minutes of the game, and of course the Leafs are up 4-2. You think that's safe? Nuh-uh. No. Not when it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, we all know what happened. We all have lived that too much. But I think the interesting thing that you need to take away from this is what happens to Steve when they lose, and they lose like that. There was a couple things that went down, as in Steve throwing his phone across the room.
I did throw my phone. I've broken my phone once ever, and it's because I accidentally knocked it off the nightstand one time. I'm amazed the amount that I throw my phone on account of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I've never broken it because of them.
And you have an OtterBox, and that's probably a good thing, because those things are tough.
Do not cheap out on your phone case, kids. Ooh, I'm going to get this Hello Kitty one that costs $20.
I wouldn't.
Invest another $40, get a $60 phone case.
That looks like a brick.
And it is. It is a brick.
But not only that.
Get a $60 James Reimer figure as well.
It ruined Steve's night. Like it was a way. It was the craziest thing. Yeah.
A night of celebration.
Right.
A night of merriment.
Absolutely. Gone. And it took a couple hours of Steve watching Call of Duty Zombies to
not playing
because he wouldn't play. He was too mad. It was watching Call of Duty Zombies for you to cheer up again. You were legitimately upset by this,
crushed.
Now watching the video the next day, I'm glad that you had a couple days to think about it, to feel better about it. But I do want to run through a couple Steve Dangle triggers. Okay.
So I'm interested.
The first trigger is Steve. The Leafs clearly keep blowing the lead because it's Frederik Andersen's fault.
My chest just tightened up. Adam, everyone, watch the. Now I'm in an interesting spot because I've been screaming about the numbers for so many years. But I watch the games. Believe it or not, I watch the games. Frederik Andersen's letting a few stinkers. The third goal against Chicago sucked. That was a huge rebound. He cheated too much. I didn't like it. I didn't like the first goal against Ottawa.
How'd you feel about the fourth goal against Toronto?
Well,
Toronto.
I mean, he's got the modern day equivalent of Scott Niedermayer and Chris Pronger on the ice. The greatest defensive pairing, literally the worst defense pairing the Leafs could possibly ice without dipping into the minor league system. Actually, even if they had done that, how did Matt Hunwick and Roman Polak end up on the ice at the same time? That's not a pair. And then, they were punished for being on the ice during the game-tying goal and allowing Jonathan Toews and Marian Hossa behind them. Wrong! They were on the ice killing a penalty in overtime!
Hey, Steve, they killed it.
They killed me too. They killed me too. And then I got people that were tweeting like, "Oh, and see what he did on those shootout goals. See how Frederik Andersen played on those shootout goals." Since when do you care about numbers or anything when it comes to the shootout? Goalie technique in the shootout. We've all agreed that it's just a carnival act.
Yeah.
That you somehow magically get a point for. The point system in the NHL is stupid anyway. The Leafs have won 1 out of 5 games. Guess what? 500 Hockey Club. It's great, isn't it? They win tonight. They'll have 2 wins in 6 games above 500 Hockey Club.
There you go.
It's great.
There you go.
Great.
Here's the second Steve Dangle trigger. Are you ready?
Yes.
Well, they're young. They're going to make mistakes.
Yeah, that whippersnapper Roman. Yeah, that whippersnapper Matt. Oh, my God. I didn't like Marner on the 3rd goal either. But come on. Come on. Their young guys are their best players. The Leafs seem to be demonstrating it day after day. Milan Mihalik's no longer on the team.
Well, that was an interesting development. We'll get to that.
Actually, do we know if he went unclaimed? Because that would have...
He did pass through waivers.
Which
was reporting to the Marlies.
Which is a surprise to nobody. Well, of course he did. Who's going to take on $4 million of Milan Mihalik?
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out today at the Leafs morning skate.
Nobody's taking that on.
No one can...
And they knew that. They knew that.
All the teams... There are a bunch of teams you could look at and go, Carolina, Ottawa, New Jersey. I'm just trying to think of some of the teams there on capfriendly.com because I was perusing that site today. Those are cash poor teams, though. Mm-hmm. So they have the cap room, but they have it for a reason. They can't spend to the cap.
I wonder, can you pay for a team to take your cap space on, but pay for the actual dollars and cents of someone's contract?
No, that doesn't make sense.
That would be amazing if you could.
That sounds like cheating.
That also sounds like
kind of what they
financially a trickle down effect, right? Am I right? Rich helping the poor? Come on. Ronald Reagan, anyone? No?
I don't even, Adam, I'm not smart enough. I didn't get a good enough sleep last night because I was up with a dry cough because of you, so I'm not smart enough to think right now. But isn't that sort of what the Leafs did with Matt Fratton? I think it might sort of be.
They took him back. Yeah, I guess they did.
Let's ask Tom. Oh, wait.
We can't.
He works for Vegas now.
He's Lassie Vegman property.
So the 2 storylines that have emerged so far this season that I hate so much are Freddie Andersen not being good enough. Look, he hasn't been incredible. But like... You might have missed it because you were too busy listening to me scream. But they talked about, you know what? It'd be nice to get a spectacular save every now and then. Of course it would be. You know what? It'd be nice if like everyone just had the hands of TJ Oshie in a shootout at all times.
It'd be nice if Roman Polak got a hat trick one of these days.
It'd be nice. If
Wouldn't that be great?
It'd be nice if Mitch Marner could hit and fight like Milan Lucic. You know what? It'd be great if Richard Panik was still a Leaf. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, the Leafs wouldn't be 1-1-3.
It'd be nice if we had enough time to record a full podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Should I just apologize now?
Yeah, I think, let's hit it.
I had to go to the Leafs morning skate.
Had to
fill in. Had to ask some questions. And then Adam and Jesse, who don't seem to be as eager to accept their part of the blame, have a meeting at 1:45.
Well, that's not our fault. And we did offer.
Oh, I wasn't aware doing my job was my fault.
I wasn't aware that you couldn't stick around for 4 hours.
We did say we would do it after the work.
4 hours? 7, Jesse. 7.
But with your friends. What a bunch you're
of
just a little sick.
You guys are. What a bunch of friends you guys are.
Well, okay. So Milan Mihalik is gone. Colin Smith. Let's talk about Colin Smith because obviously here's what's going to happen.
Ben Smith.
Colin
Smith is also on the Marlies.
Yes. Before we get to Ben Smith, actually, you have to assume, and I've seen it put a few places that Milan Mihalik, they're going to try to trade, but they'll have to retain on him. Now, I asked reporter Chris yesterday, like, what kind of a risk would that be? And he said it's not really a risk at all. They're only retaining on Kessel, and Milan's contract's up at the end of the year.
Right. So for those of you that may or may not forget, you get 3 salary retention spots, and I believe the Leafs are only using 1. And this one will expire at the end of the year. So if they want, at the deadline, they could even retain salary again.
On another player. Yeah.
Brooks Lake, perhaps.
Yeah. Absolutely. And of course, the Leafs probably don't want another $4 million winger in the minors.
This was the problem, right? So we kind of saw this at the beginning of the season. So JVR, Bozak, Marner. Do we like that line?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. So working out some bugs, that'll do. Hyman with Matthews and Nylander. Mostly satisfied with that line?
Definitely.
Arguably
only the
their
fact
best
that,
one.
You know what? Hyman's clearly holding them back because he only has 1 assist.
Oh, what a bum. And it was in the first game. What a bum!
I
Does
think,
he actually only have 1 assist?
I think he's got like 1 point, yeah.
I would like to know how many goals the other team doesn't have because of Zach Hyman. And then we looked at the top. Or no, okay, let's not skip. The fourth line was Martin, Holland, Brown. You could do worse for a fourth line.
Well, and I've actually been sort of impressed with him, but the person I've been impressed with is Connor Brown.
The most, for sure. And Peter Holland hasn't been bad. And Matt Martin has been, Matt Martin, right?
He's been exactly what you expect him to be.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say a tremendous liability. He drew a penalty, too. That was good. And it was a retaliation penalty. That's why you have a guy like
Matt Martin can play. He can actually play.
He can play. Is he being paid too much? I don't know. And then there was a top line, the supposed top line. Komarov, he was an all-star last year, 19 goals, sure. Nazem Kadri, that's your number 1 center for now. Yeah, sure. And Milan Mahalik. And I remember we even said on the show, what is this? What is this line exactly?
Yeah, and I didn't think Milan Mahalik played that bad through the first 3 games.
He's got a goal. Not that many Leafs
have a goal. most of them belong to Austin Matthews.
Yeah, or William Nylander.
Yeah.
Or the assist as well. So he had that one nice banging goal, but once you take him off that top line, what is he? He's a $4 million fourth liner. And then all of a sudden you got I think that's a $7 or $8 million fourth line between Holland, Martin, and Mahalik.
That is an expensive fourth line. Wow.
Yeah, I think if you're using them, great. If you're not, this is what you do. And the second anyone gets hurt, you call them up. You call them up, put them through waivers again, and maybe someone claims them. And you don't worry about that because you got Ben Smith, Josh Levo, and Seth Griffith that can jump in wherever you want.
So Ben Smith played with the Leafs last year. They obviously reclaimed him.
And the Marlies, yes.
What was the point of reclaiming him?
Now, that was interesting. His possession numbers are awful, but I loved him as a player. I loved watching him on the Marlies. Thought he was a really good player down there. Obviously, advanced stats are kind of hard to come by down there. He had 6 points in 16 games with the Leafs during their probably worst stretch, and he was playing depth minutes, so I thought that was pretty impressive. Now, I think what a lot of people have said is part of the reason Seth Griffith hasn't played yet. Remember that little guy? Claimed him off waivers. Part of the reason he hasn't played yet is Babcock likes his players to be really, really, really familiar with his systems.
Which makes sense. I mean, look at Frank Corrado. Look at how long it's taken him.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, no, I don't know how to explain that this year. Smith is a guy you can hopefully just plug in and play.
So you plug
I would hope.
So
or
here's,
Levo.
If I'm not mistaken, it seems as though Connor Brown has worked his way up onto the Kadri-Komarov line, barring any switch around.
Well, and people forget when Brown had, I think it was 6 points in 7 games last year, it was mostly with Kadri, playing with Kadri, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And now you got a top line of, it's nice that Komarov has the versatility that they can put him on the left, and you got Kadri and Brown. Now we got a line where, I haven't hated Kadri's game, but how's he going to put up any points? Every time I looked at that line, I was like, how are they going to put up any points? I need more out of Komarov. I'm not going to lie. I need more out of the both of those guys. But I think Brown is going to give him a nice kick in the rear.
Well, he's young, he wants it, and he's got some finish. And I think that's what, Milan Mahalik at one point in his career, I think, did.
It's still there. He's an NHL player.
Sure.
The Leafs are sending down an NHL player who makes too much money. That's Brooks Lake, too. That's an NHL player, I think.
I would say Komarov has some finish in him, too.
Oh! Because Finland!
Wow.
Because
Jesse
Finland!
Blake. Damn, quiet all episode, then coming in with a banger. Nice.
You should just walk out and leave. George Costanza style
done.
right
You're
now.
I'm done this episode.
So does Smith play on the fourth line? Connor Brown moves up tonight against Tampa Bay?
This is the confusing thing now because Levo's practicing with the team. The Leafs are on the verge of something. They have to. Because they have their 8 defensemen. Mm-hmm. They just have them, right? If one of them gets hurt, you don't have to call anyone up. You'll still have another spare. It's clear that they're not doing so great. Even the Marlies' defensive depth is not staggering. It's okay. It's adequate right now. But, like, what does Valiev project to be?
What does Louvre project to be?
Project to be? What Justin Hall? Andrew Nielsen, I look at and I go, this guy could be a full-time Leaf by the end of the season. But again, young. This is his rookie year as a professional. Travis Dermott's his rookie year as a professional. And then you look down the Marlies' depth, 4 lines of assassins, with guys like Timashov getting scratched at times, which is a great situation to be in. But when you look at the Leafs too, and you got this logjam now of Smith and Levo and Griffith, the obvious thing seems to me, at some point, forwards will be traded for either centers, which, I mean, you can never have too many of, or defensemen. But it's kind of early in the year to be doing that.
Yeah.
It's the Leafs are on the verge of something. I don't know what it is, but I look at this and I go, okay, something has to give. They clearly think so too, because when was the last time the Leafs claimed 2 people off waivers in the same month?
That's a good question.
I can't think of it.
Well, and it speaks to a team that seems to be wanting to add depth at a forward position that they already have a lot of depth at. So that's a little bit like someone's leaving. It looks a little bit like that. I mean, I'm not saying that it is, but it looks to be that way.
I'm gonna go with they're not too convinced that Joffrey Lupul's coming back anytime soon. Is that a fair assumption?
I think that's a fair assumption. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I get that.
Something.
Will Seth Griffiths? Will he play soon? How long do you think? Like, how long does it take to be acclimatized to Babcock's system?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you, Adam. But no one knows anything about this damn team. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is, because it used to be just a big leaky ship that all the information got out.
Oh, my God. Whoops, I dropped something. Whoops, I'm just going to walk away from it now.
So perfect world it for me. Because what are the Leafs' needs now are they need defensive prospects, they need they need NHL quality. Yeah, they need NHL quality. They need a top 4 D-man without losing a top 4 D-man.
And how do you get that?
Well, there's got to be some team out there that's got the alternate problem.
So I think I saw on Twitter that the Ducks were heavily scouting the Leafs. I don't know if there's anything to that, but Carlisle connection, Nonis connection. Now, here's the problem. There's no one left. There's basically no one left. The biggest name I can think of is JVR. The Ducks reportedly are looking at getting rid of Fowler. So I wonder if there's your answer right there.
Is he a good answer?
He's not an ideal answer. It's a puck-moving defenseman. He can generate offense, not so much with the defense, which
is a problem.
It's not what
they're not going to make that move. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, and I look at Levo and what he could bring to the team. There's another guy that's an NHL scorer. Defender?
Ducks could use that.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, because I'm talking about how he fits on the 4th line.
Right. I think the Ducks could use something. A depth scorer.
Sure. Cash poor team.
Absolutely. Why not?
Could be something there.
What about one of the guys they already not Cam Fowler? So what?
Lindholm's not getting moved.
Well, that's
make peace with that.
Now that's fine. Mm-hmm. But is that necessarily true?
According to Travis Yost, yes.
Right. But how many general managers have said, Mark Bergevin, that a player isn't getting moved, and then they move the player?
Yeah, and also opinions change.
Yeah.
It could be, I will never trade him. I'll give you Sidney Crosby for him. Here he is right now. Trading him.
So it's apparently they're $250,000 apart on a 6-year deal. Anaheim and Lindholm.
Nothing.
It's nothing.
Oh, well, 250 times 6, I guess.
Is a lot. On a cash poor team.
Yeah. It's $1.5 million.
If you start dangling a 1st-round pick for a guy like that.
Don't dangle a 1st-round pick.
Now, hear me out. Hear me out.
The face Jesse just made.
Hear me out.
Okay.
I'm just spitballing here because I don't know what the right answer is. But and I don't particularly have an opinion on it either. But if you have a Trouba or a Lindholm that are available, and you know that these are young stud defensemen for the next 8 years, and they are within the same age bracket as your Morgan Rielly, Austin Matthews window. When a defenseman, say the Leafs finish 20th this year. So are they going to get a defenseman in the draft that's going to be able to step onto the team right away? No, he's going to spend a couple years in the CHL, and then he's going to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
optimistically.
Like, God, we'd be lucky if he gets to his second contract.
Like, we're talking about...
Because that's what the draft is.
Optimistically, Nielsen or Dermott can step in next year. That's optimistically.
So that's what I'm saying. If you can guarantee that you get a great player for a chance at a great player, that's literally, you're trading a chance card for a guarantee.
Yesterday, I actually allowed myself to think, what if we could work out a deal where Hunwick goes to the Ducks? And then I got upset at myself because, no, it's just not going to happen, Steve. It's just not.
Is it possible,
sure,
with this management group, that they'll do that?
I think so. I think, okay, you get Hunwick, who's a cheap defenseman, left-handed, replaces Fowler in your lineup right away.
But you're not trading your first overall or your first round pick for Fowler. You're not.
No. Levo, there's a prospect, and you can throw in a pick too. I think now...
And they have a bunch of extra picks.
Is pretty broad. Is it a first-round pick?
Don't they have
is
San Jose's third or fourth?
Oh, the Leafs have like 3 seconds that aren't theirs, I'm pretty sure. I think they have 2 of San Jose's and 1 of Ottawa's or Washington's still.
Okay.
Jesse,
they have San Jose second, Ottawa second, but those are our conditions. It might be a San Jose second in 2018.
Okay.
Or a third. There are conditions on it. But the Ottawa second is there.
What about the Washington one? Or did they use that?
The Washington one's gone.
Okay, so they used that.
Yeah.
Wow. They got a lot of seconds kicking around. Yeah, it's possible. I think it's possible. It also doesn't solve much, but it'd be an upgrade, I think.
I don't think Cam Fowler's a fit.
See, we went from throwing my phone and I hate this team and why does this team always do this to me to, hey, what if they traded just a bag of Legos for a young player?
The great thing that they've done is what's the premium thing that all NHL teams want?
The Stanley Cup.
Well, yeah. In players, what do they want?
A young right-hand defenseman.
Yeah, and young skilled forwards, right? They want skilled forwards. Centers specifically, you're right. Absolutely right. Right-handed defenseman, right shot D, and centerman. They have a lot of people in the system. They have a lot of young scoring forwards, and the thing is that they've got more coming up because
there's more.
What's Jeremy Bracco doing right now?
Jeremy Bracco is currently 5th in OHL scoring, I believe, and the only reason he's not higher is because he hasn't played as many games. Nikita Korostolev who was a 7th round pick, I believe. Yeah, 7th round pick from 2 years ago, I think, tied for 3rd in OHL goal scoring. Brendan Leipzig leads the American Hockey League in scoring. Mm-hmm. Kasperi Kapanen was the AHL Player of the Week last week. And then, like I said, Timoshov is a scratch on some nights.
Jesse, can you bring up the Maple Leafs statistics? Do you have them? Just their scoring statistics.
Sure, yes.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's just to make everybody feel better?
Yeah.
Who's the leading scorer? Leading point getter.
Points. Austin Matthews.
How many goals and assists?
He's got 5 goals, 3 assists.
What a puck hog.
Gross.
So that's 8 points in how many? 5 games?
5 games.
But he's no Richard Panik.
Now, who's number 2 on that list?
That was a joke.
William Nylander.
Really? What's he? Run through his stats.
He's got 3 goals and 4 assists.
Interesting. So that's 7 points in 5 games.
Yes.
Next player.
Jake Gardner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Jackie Gardman. What does Jake have?
He's got 4 assists.
Just flat 4.
That's it.
See,
just flat 4.
Just a flat 4. 4 on the floor. I honestly think that top 3 right there, that's pretty good for the future, right? So you have to, if you're worried about giving up prospects, I understand that. If you're worried about giving up draft picks, I understand that. However,
it's at the point where I'm not worried. I'm not worried. They have so much.
So
they have too much.
So would you be willing to part with a top line prospect for a top line defenseman?
Doesn't necessarily have to be top line, I don't think. Because we're not talking about
What about
You know
Trouba
what?
and
You got to
Lindholm?
give that up for Trouba. And maybe Lindholm. You don't have to give that up for Fowler.
No.
But you want Trouba.
I know, but I'm not letting myself think that.
Yeah, you want Trouba.
The team's in a position where you don't need Cam Fowler. You need Trouba.
You know
Yeah.
what my
We're
stupid
not
little
trying to
Leaf
win this
fan.
year.
You know what my stupid little Leaf fan brain is thinking right now? Remember when the Leafs signed Roberts and Corson? Just blam!
No,
and
Roberts and Nieuwendyk. Roberts and Nieuwendyk at the same time.
I thought it was Corson too. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was all three.
It was Roberts and Corson, right? And then Nieuwendyk signed later, and then Roberts and Nieuwendyk signed in Florida later.
That's right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Sorry, you're right.
And they just
Blah!
blah!
Take that, NHL.
And I just wonder, the Leafs, we're slow out of the gate, but we're a young team and we're working hard. Blam! We got Trouba and Lindholm dunking on you. It's
that
just my
happened-
stupid little brain.
If that happened, you'd have to have the Vince McMahon gif where he's walking out and the fireworks are going up. You have to have the Leaf
with a Lululemon and Brendan Shanahan.
But that's the thing. I mean, if you don't want it. The thing that gets me is everybody on Twitter, and I think this happens with
That gets me too.
what happens with players that have been with the team for a long time. People sort of fall out of love. Like people fall out of love with JVR, but JVR. Kadri.
Especially.
People fall out of love with JVR or have fallen out of love with JVR because JVR is what JVR is. And by the way, he's still a premier power forward in this league.
Yeah, because the definition of power forward has changed.
And he's been on the worst teams that Toronto has iced in basically its history.
Yeah.
And yet every year he seems to put up 55, 60 points.
You will not disrespect the 100th greatest Maple Leaf of all time.
I'm just saying, that guy is not a guy I want to give up. I don't want to give up Jake Gardiner. We need to add to the team. And that means subtracting from the system at this point. And you know what? And the other thing is, the part that makes me laugh is that, Babcock talking
Makes you laugh. Makes you
about...
laugh.
Makes me laugh about the Maple Laughs.
Laugh.
The thing that makes me laugh is that people are like, well, it's a young team, but they got some veteran presence. The veteran presence isn't that good.
No.
It's really not.
And even the veteran presence isn't that old.
So if we can get rid of some of these guys, the Milan Mahaliks of the world, good. Because the younger players are better anyway.
Yeah. Feels bad to say that, though. Because,
It's a good spot to be in, though.
these are...
That's nothing against Milan Mahalik.
No.
Nothing.
I hope players around the league look at this and realize it's a business decision.
I think they do.
Because... you talk about Brooks
Oh.
The Capitals seem to love him. Capitals fans seem to love him. And this is what's happening to him.
Yeah.
I hope he's being treated well.
I don't think
I
they
assume
would.
he is.
They're not going to treat you poorly.
No.
It's just...
No, but he didn't even play I think he just played his first Marlies game. Because I think they're trying to figure something out. It's very interesting. I think something will happen before Christmas. Because it just seems like something's got to give.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Dangle's bold prediction. Yeah. Something.
A source told me.
We'll have E3. E3
Maybe
confirmed.
an E4. Cam Fowler wears number 4. Illuminati confirmed.
When we come back, we actually have to talk about a very interesting thing that happened in the SPHL.
Southern Pro Hockey League.
But a name that you would know if you watch the Olympics, especially Team Canada, Shannon Szabados.
Whoa.
We will talk about her next
Whoa.
on the Steve Dangle podcast. By the way, well, first off, we should mention that we're going to talk about how Team Canada's Olympic goaltender was cut after 2 games in the SPHL a couple days ago, which is a very weird situation. Steve's got a little bit of insight on that. But first, I do want to mention Mike Darnay, our boy from Pittsburgh.
Yes, I forgot to mention the last segment.
He went through every single goal, not including tonight's game in Tampa Bay, every single goal that Frederik Andersen has let in, and makes a very compelling argument that it ain't his fault.
Well, and I love that his eyes match mine. Yes, numbers, great, fine. But I probably said it during the game, Adam. Mm-hmm. I probably screamed it a few times. He's aggressive. Anderson,
yeah.
He plays uncomfortably out of the paint. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the Leafs telling him to do that or what.
It's better than Vesatoskala, who basically played inside of the net.
Yeah, but that's
before he was saving it, it was past the line.
But that's what Lundqvist does, though. He plays deep in his net. Mm-hmm. I think certain styles... Good. Yeah, he's kind of good. Certain styles fit certain goalies, but Anderson, he jumps out at the puck.
Right.
Which is fine if you stop it and there's no big rebound.
Right.
Way too aggressive, way too close to one side on the goal where I think it was the 4-3 goal against Chicago.
Right.
Big juicy rebound that's in the back of your net.
Yes.
Didn't get help, but he put the rebound out there.
So let's talk about Shannon Szabados.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So
What happened?
she was cut from her SPHL team. So, okay, she broke the gender barrier, basically. Others will argue it was man on Rayom. Okay, fine. But Shannon Szabados was playing professional hockey league and a men's professional... Sorry. Whew. Adam gave me a cold. Shannon Szabados was playing professional hockey in a men's professional hockey league last year called the SPHL, which is, I guess, right about on par with the ECHL, maybe a step below it. Scott Darling started in the SPHL. He didn't start there, but he was there at one point, and he just beat the Leafs the other day. Oh, like that's hard to do. Shut up, I'm telling a story. So she was looking for a team again this year, and she's back. She joined the Peoria Rivermen, who I believe used to be in the American Hockey League.
Peoria, featured prominently in Family Guy.
Yes, also Pretoria.
Right.
Famous country that Peter Griffin made when he seceded from the United States. And she was Shannon Szabados, double gold medal winning goalie for Canada's women's team, was cut.
Now, this is weird because
After 2 games.
it was not just her that was cut.
It was not. So let me read from the icegarden.com. Now, if you're like, what the heck is that? The icegarden.com is basically a women's hockey site on SB Nation. So the Rivermen, who finished at the top of the league during the regular season last year, lost by a margin of 11-2 in a pair of games against the Huntsville Havoc. Szabados played once in relief of Storm Phaneuf. What a name.
Is that any relation to Dion?
WHL team no, apparently it came from the Q. On October 21st. I don't know if there's any relation to Dion. Allowing 2 goals in that appearance. The following day, she let in 3 goals on 9 shots in her first start for Peoria before getting yanked in that contest. Phaneuf, an SPHL rookie, was also cut from the team, according to the Journal Star. I guess that's Peoria Journal Star.
Okay.
Also gone from the team is top defender Carl Nielsen, who indicated to the team that if Szabados was leaving, he was too. He has been indefinitely suspended by Peoria. I told him we were letting her go, and he said he would like to stay with the team and really liked it here, Riverman head coach Jean-Guy Trudel told the Star Journal. He talked to Shannon and then came back in and said he decided to leave with her. Now, this is the sentence I want you to pay attention to. We wanted to keep Carl, and we would also be willing to accommodate him with a trade, but he wants to play wherever Shannon plays, so both are gone. So, is it just me? Is it just my conspiratorial mind where I just can't give any coach the benefit of the doubt, apparently? Does he seem to be implying something?
That they're dating?
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems to be implying they're dating.
Because she's, like, fully married. I'm just saying that was the impression. That was my first impression when I read that.
Or they're really, really good friends. Although that...
I mean, that's my assumption.
But
right?
that's hockey. You have good friends that get
Or
cut
maybe she convinced him using logic, hey, so this coach is crazy and cut both his goalies after 2 games.
Which I honestly think's the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that might be the case. I mean, it wasn't even against 2 teams. Like, you're not even seeing a variety of shooters. You had 2 bad games against the same team. And now Shannon Szabados is a free agent.
Now,
I mean, good for her. She's a free agent.
Do you
right?
think the NWHL and the CWHL are like, yes? Are they jumping on this one?
No, I don't think so. Well, because I don't know if any NWHL team can afford her. Like, what does the highest paid player in the NWHL make? I think it would say on the website
25?
around $25,000. It might be a little bit more than that. And at this point, I think most of the rosters are filled out. Now, there was more on this, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, on today's slapshot.com. Friend of the show, Kate Samini, was writing about it, and she actually reached out to Szabados and I think Nielsen as well. Very interesting story.
I think it's interesting the way the coach put it. Because he could have said nothing at all, and yet he chose to...
Yeah,
say
and
that.
maybe that's not quite the way he meant it, but I'm just saying, reading it cold, the first thing I thought was, is he implying what I think he's implying?
Which to me speaks to intention, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That speaks to he wanted
Gary Roberts and Joe Newendike had to answer these questions.
rightly or wrongly.
Never had to.
You know, like I don't know enough about the situation, but you know, my thinking is, if a guy's crazy enough to cut 2 goalies after 2 games against one team, then he's probably of a mind that he has the same filter as Donald Trump. You know what I mean? That to me, although there is no logic or reason or proof to that, there just seems to be an association there that would be hard to ignore. And I feel like, you know, for a coach to do that, you also have to, you could question that coach's actions. Then I think you can also question what the coach says publicly. Because I don't know we don't know that that's the case.
Or his willingness to stick up for a player or stick by anybody. You had 2 bad games. Goodbye. That's a real loyal coach.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, you can have 2 bad games.
Amanda Kessel, $26,000.
$26,000.
Right.
So we were about right. Wow, and that's Amanda Kessel too. Mm-hmm. So like I would assume Shannon Szabados would command about the same.
Well, yeah, you'd hope.
Can anyone afford that? I don't know.
If I'm an owner of one of those teams, I'm making room. I'll tell you that much.
I don't know the ins and outs there.
Yep, I'm telling you, I'd make room.
If we had time and I didn't screw up the show today, we could call Kate.
The show. Yeah, well, you know what? We'll monitor the situation. It's very, very interesting. So I wanted to follow up on a couple things.
Okay.
First off, do you remember that big long letter that was written by the doctor about PK Subban in the Montreal Gazette?
Oh, sorry. I'll throw out one more thing about Szabados.
Sure.
Sorry. There's been a ton of injuries so far in the NHL. Some in the AHL too. ECHL. Anyone there looking for a goalie? There was a campaign in the summer. Szabados to the ECHL. I think let's start it again. That'd be nice.
I'm sure someone will give it a try out.
PK Subban.
So, no doubt you've heard, but I did want to follow up on that story and say that the Montreal Children's Hospital announced Dr. Charles Kowalski, who was the guy that wrote the letter.
Kowalski. Just the way you said it.
Kowalski.
Sounds like a cop with a heart of gold.
Will make a $250,000 donation to PK's Helping Hands at the hospital.
Wow.
So he
that's a guy with bank.
Yeah, that is bank. He spent a lot of money on that ad. So this has cost him, I was looking at it, it was like, it's cost him about $275,000.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Which is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's after tax, Quebec tax dollars, by the way.
Are they higher?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Quebec is like, I believe they're one of the highest taxes in the land.
In the land.
But you don't have to pay for like university and stuff like that. So it's
also the
cool.
lowest minimum wage in the country, I believe.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so I
threw that out.
I found it interesting too to watch the Montreal fan reaction to that, and you're still seeing it come up because there is the group of fans who I believe Andrew Berkshire is like the tribal leader of, where you know it's like, yeah, good on him. And then you got the ardent hardcore fans who I would say are a little bit more conservative that are like, they would be like, America, if they were Americans. But in this case, they're like, Abidon. And no matter what the team does, they're like, you got to support the team. Let's blindly follow.
Now, it's funny you should say that. Because the other day I tweeted, I think the 2 most level-headed fan bases so far this season
About their teams?
have shockingly been Leafs and Habs fans.
You know why?
Why?
Both teams have a lot of hope surrounding them.
But the Habs are like 5-1 or something.
Killing it.
Off to a
5-0-1.
Wow. Beg your pardon.
They're a 1,000 team.
They
We're a
certainly
500
are.
team, they're a 1,000.
Exactly. Forget the fact that they're not.
Or that it's just one.
Forget the fact they added the best player in the NHL to their roster.
Well, yeah. Best goalie anyway. For sure. And then Radulov, and that's very interesting. If we had more time, we'd get into it, I'm sure. But, yeah, I think Habs fans have actually been very level-headed so far this season. Weber scored his second last night, I think, and they weren't like, yeah, we're Subban second. I haven't seen too much of that.
I did see on the Sportsnet ticker yesterday a very interesting little stat, and I think you would have loved it.
Oh, great.
It was Montreal's Shea Weber leads team in plus minus, and he's a +8, and then it goes comma, PK Subban's a -4.
But that's not the fan
Subban is
base.
a -4. I just thought that was hilarious. That's somebody trying to start a fire, and God bless the person that wrote that and put it on the ticker, because that's funny.
Oh, hey, I mean, that's kind of your job in TV, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Good old Subban.
start a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's funny. Sometimes you got to avoid that, but other times I think it's your job almost to make the viewer go, "Oh, screw off! No way! Why? And I mean, there's also going to be people who see that and go, "See." But surprisingly, they're just kind of, isn't it nice? They're just kind of content with their team's nice start. Just nice things going on in Montreal. I think, you know what? I'll throw this out there. Habs fans deserve this.
The fans do.
The fans do.
Absolutely.
They deserve this nice start. They deserve it. They
deserve
had a
a lot.
hard summer.
They did. But it does mean that we are rewarding, at least in my mind, still a lot of bad mistakes.
Well, are they mistakes to the top team in the league?
Or they're the top team in the league. The other thing we have to mention is that Vancouver just lost its very first game.
Yeah, so this has been the funny thing. Habs fans just kind of content, like, oh, this is a really nice start. Sure, I'm glad to have Carey Price back. Radulov's been good. And then you got Oilers and Canucks fans going, yeah! Talk now, Dangle! Where's the segment on the Canucks hot start, Dangle? McDavid, Dangle! It's, yeah, two very different groups of fans, despite similar results.
Well, I loved on I don't know if you saw Hockey Night in Canada. Well, you did on Saturday night, but Don Cherry on Coach's Corner was like, and I love that Eric Gustafsson. He meant Good Branson. Everybody was Gustafsson.
Yeah, and Frederick Gustafsson on the Leafs. Everyone from Europe's just Gustafsson. Those Gustafsson twins on the Canucks are really, man, they've been around a long time.
But, you know, I mean,
I love that Jaromir Gustafsson.
hats off to the Canucks. I mean, they've had a really, really good start. I still think that here's the deal. There are teams. Let me just bring one up.
Uh-oh.
Who was first place at the end of October last year?
It was probably Montreal.
Who was first place at the end of November last year?
Might have still been Montreal.
Who was first placed after December last year?
I don't think it was Montreal.
No.
They would have been probably top 3, though.
They were close.
I think it was
Yeah.
Tampa.
And then,
They started going tick, tick,
and
tick,
then what
tick,
about
tick, 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 tick.
January?
Yeah, well, tick, tick, tick. Now,
February.
Now, though, Adam, they lost Carey Price for the year.
Yes.
And I can't help but look at this. Like, part of me wants to just look at the Habs and go, oh, they're off to a nice start. You know what? Nah, that's good for them. They deserve it.
They were on a tear last year.
The other part of me is like, at what point does this stop? And what causes it to stop? Carey Price looks fine.
Yeah.
I think barring injury, I was kind of wishy-washy. Like I was saying, Tampa's going to make the playoffs. Panthers probably make the playoffs. And they've been battling some injuries, so that's rough. And then the third spot I said was wide open. No. That's Montreal's. Montreal's making the playoffs. Like, there's no question. They have the best goalie in the world. What happens? What utter destruction to the online world happens if they do it? If they do the thing?
Oh my God. Well, and what makes me laugh is that it will be for so many people a nail in the coffin of the advanced stats world.
Oh yeah,
Because
prove you wrong.
to which I would say, well, the advanced stats community never said that Carey Price was a bad goalie or that Montreal.
No, even Berkshire's like the Habs made the biggest addition of the offseason, which was they got their goalie.
That's right. Now with
And El
Vancouver,
Montoya, holy smokes.
do you actually see this continuing?
No.
I don't either.
You know, the Sedins are magic. They are bloody magic. Ericsson's not a bad player either. That contract's a bit of a mess, but he's not a bad player. And I think it's great. It's so great. I don't remember which goal or which game it was, but Brandon Sutter got a big goal for them. And I just, I can't help but picture Benning and the rest of the Canucks management going, see? Told ya! The Gustafsson twins and Sutter. They're going to do the thing.
Well,
I want a Montreal Canucks final.
now
Let's do it.
we have to go. Because Jesse and I are about 3 minutes away from our meeting.
Can I do one update?
One update.
Crosby could play tonight.
Yay! He was at practice yesterday in a non-contact. Yeah, he was
This
yesterday
morning.
too.
Yeah.
Yesterday too. There is something that we need to get through next episode that we cannot get through today.
Because of me.
Now, no, we're just giving you a hard time, man. Now, remember the Bobby Nix burger?
Oh, yes.
Now,
Is there another kind of burger?
now there's a video of the Bobby Nix burger.
Did someone send you one?
Well, Jesse, I think, found... No, we did
No,
get it sent
somebody
to us.
tweeted it to you.
Mark T. Avs, who we met at Hockey Night in Cinema.
Okay.
And Mark T, that is gold. We're going to get to it. And I would ask this of the Dangle Navy Nation. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Don't ruin it. Because you don't want to have this ruined. It's so very good. It goes into the creation of the Bobby Nix burger.
Oh, beauty.
And maybe,
Whose
just maybe...
backyard is it in?
Maybe, just maybe, Bobby Nix teaches the chef how to make it properly.
Does he chef-splain?
Are we also going to eat hot chips next
He's
episode?
chef-splained. Yes, we'll eat the hot chips, the
Oh
Reaper
my
chips.
God, yeah.
Next episode on the Steve Dangle podcast. We got to go. I'm going to the Maple Laughs tonight.
Laughs.
I'm really excited about the Maple Laughs. And the almost Toronto Maple Leaf Steven Stamkos.
Adam's actually playing defense for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, me and Roman Polak.
What an upgrade.
Gonna kill some penalties.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.